Over 1,000 years ago, before the Common Era and before the founding of Equestria, once the unicorns, Pegasi and Earth ponies were first acquainted, they had fallen into the claws of prejudice. The three pony tribes, not willing to share their land and resources, were torn by the sword of racism. Their bitter words knifed the other races. A sapling of war and poverty began to grow. The ancient land was left heartbroken amongst the feuds and stolen rations. Everything seemed to collapse, until 10 plagues were brought upon the continents by an unknown source. The first plague, a river of blood. The second, frog rain. The third, boils. Beyond the fourth brought a swarm of flies, diseased cattle, untreatable boils, fiery hail, locusts, eternal darkness, and the final plague, the death of every firstborn colt. Drought was cast, and illness was perpetual. Unaware of the cause, the pony tribes blamed each other for the bringing of these plagues. By the 9th plague, intense heat had turned to a blizzard, bringing windigos and famine. By now, each pony tribe sought their leader, and the leader sought a new land and found friendship with the other tribes, uniting them as one. And as the unicorns came together, they kept a spell contained in a green crystal, healing the continents from the 10 plagues. The crystal was buried deep underground, keeping the spell from getting loose. Many had forgotten about the plagues ever existing at all, but those who hadn't believe the land will always be protected, as long as the crystal is concealed and we let the fire of friendship blaze. Many question what really goes on beneath Equestria's crust, a mystery wrapped in a continental and oceanic shield. Many call this place the Mantle and dare not to venture toward it for fear of being burned alive. To this day, the Mantle remains a mystery. 6 friends exited the greenery of the Everfree forest, hydrated from the reflective water of a certain pool which hid beneath a huge boulder. Many would question why the 6 ponies would ever enter such a place like the Everfree, but they knew this place well and only needed to turn to the old ruin that lay inside of it for some certain books. They soon exited the forest, and a golden road was now what guided them. They had entered Ponyville and now looked to their left, expecting to see the familiar sun-kissed houses, but instead were acquainted with doors and windows barred shut and infrastructure that looked like it had never been finished.
Twilight? Something weird is up with this town.
You don't suppose all the doors are barred shut because of some sort of infestation, do you?
Like Paris sprites?
Intrigued.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure parasites aren't back, and there's just some sort of fly tipping going on.
Girls, stop it. I'm sure there's just a minor pickpocketing incident and everything is just...
Wait, a pickpocketing incident? The whole town is hiding from a minor pickpocketing incident? Really? Seems legit.
Well, I better split ways if I want to get back to the farm.
Same here. Okay, I'll see you girls later.
Despite the awkward greeting with their town, they brushed it off as something minor and swiftly returned home to their families in hopes of answers. The sun began to set, which was strange as time didn't seem to have sped. The honest orange apple pony was almost home, expecting to reacquaint with her barn kissed by Red Delicious, but instead, an uninvited guest of rotting wood and infested crops came upon her.
What happened here?
Back in the town of Ponyville, Twilight made haste to her castle, her lavender hooves tripping with every sudden breath across the derelict town. Once she arrived, to her surprise, the thick crystal walls of her tower had remained intact. the only thing eccentric being her student anxiously held back against the saffron door. As Twilight approached it, Starlight held out a scroll levitating in her minty aura. Thinking quickly, she passed it to Twilight.
Twilight, Spike gave me this letter from Celestia. You must read it urgently.
The scroll now sat in Twilight's fuchsia aura as she grew apprehensive upon reading it.
My dear Twilight, we need your assistance. We will call you to Canterlot if needed.
Twilight disclosed as she passed the scroll back to Starlight. At first they questioned the sudden need for aid, but soon concluded it was because of the assumed infestation going on in Ponyville. The 6 ponies questioned what was going on in the town, but none of their family or neighbours had answers. Many decided that upon the request of the mayor that they should stay indoors till further notice.
Spike, can you see what's happening outside?
Twilight asked as she sat in her castle library looking back and forth between books.
It's not good. There's crazy weather going on out there and ponies are going crazy and it's getting dark at 2 p.m.
Spike reported as he sat by the window.
We need to look for a cure for this.
We don't know the cause.
Then we'll have to find one.
Levitating books and scrolls on and off of shelves, they looked through them all in hopes of finding answers until it was declared safe to reach Canterlot.
What? Nothing in the complete collection of equestrian history?
Nothing in all about the Black Death.
Maybe we can find something here?
Finally, the long-awaited scroll had come.
What does it say?
To come to Canterlot at once.
Celestia had called them. Twilight used her favoured teleportation spell to bring the trio to Canterlot. No one knew what was going on in Ponyville, or why. They questioned what everyone in Ponyville was hiding from and what was going on with the weather. Celestia and Luna waited atop the stairs above all tension.
We came as quick as we could.
What's going on?
We have searched hours upon hours, and we have finally found the cause of all these catastrophic natural disasters.
Centuries ago, a curse was brought upon Equestria by an unknown source. With it, the curse brought 10 plagues, a river of blood, frog rain, lice, deceased cattle, boils, a swarm of flies, fiery hail, locusts, darkness and the death of every first child born.
Celestia demonstrated images of these plagues with her flaxen magic, the horror of each plague sending a chill down a pony's spine.
How do we stop them?
That I do not know yet.
There was a pause between the suspenseful hall. No pony knew what to do or what to say. Celestia knew the rest of her heralds would be joining them soon, and could only wait for their entrance. Twilight thought long and hard for any relic there could be to assist them in this sudden curse. No single spell would be great enough. Thinking back to the books in Celestia and Luna's old castle, it finally hit her. A green crystal hidden deep beneath the mantle, bearing great reversion magic. It must be wielded.
We need to find the pardoning crystal.
Are you crazy? It's buried deep into the mantle.
Celestia remained silent. Just then, the rest of Twilight's friends entered. They looked like they'd been in a war. Their hooves almost resembled trenchfoot, with blisters and bugs all around from their manes to their tails.
Oh, dear friends, your infected cold hooves must be tended to.
This is worse than we thought. Luna, aid Twilight's friends. Then everyone, hold on to me.
But why do we need to hold on to you?
We're going somewhere.
But where?
The only place in Equestria that isn't full of disease.
Twilight opened her violet eyes. The ground was soft and the air much cooler.
Huh? Cloudsdale?
Unfortunately, the plagues have reached the Crystal Empire too.
Twilight's sister-in-law Cadence explained. Behind her stood her brother, Spike, Starlight and Celestia. A blue portal soon opened and Luna entered the scene with the rest of Twilight's friends.
Since Cloudsdale is high above the clouds, we shouldn't get affected by the fairy hail or the fog rain. Plus, there's no chance of the diseases reaching us here.
It's all we can do at the moment whilst we try to find a cure. but we have encouraged all the other ponies to stay indoors until then.
It's the least we can do. But don't worry, we cast a spell atop your friends to allow non-winged races to walk on clouds.
Twilight looked back to her friends, the non-winged ponies playing amongst the fluffy clouds, trying to remain positive, almost like they were oblivious to the situation at Hoof. The princesses and the prince talking amongst themselves, trying to find a solid conclusion. With every pounding thought and every chime of laughter, Twilight grew more apprehensive. She was determined to retrieve the parting crystal, but how could anyone have faith in her in such a perilous task, including herself?
That's it! I'm going to find that parting crystal.
Many were astonished at Twilight's bravery upon that statement. Not even Celestia or her bravest heralds ever dared to go deep within the mantle to retrieve such a relic. Many ponies couldn't even recall such a relic of existing. Thus, many were confused upon Twilight's statement. Celestia again remained in silence.
For the 100th time, are you crazy?
The mantle isn't just what ponies make it out to be. It is an underground sea of molten rock that moves the tectonic plates around the planet. Fortunately, there are small air pockets full of oxygen that can reach up to 77 degrees Fahrenheit.
Hopefully, you'll be lucky enough to find it in one of those air pockets, Twilight.
From Cadence and Luna's reassurance, Twilight knew she was ready to tackle such a quest. She'd faced many extreme climates, tyrannical overlords, and ferocious beasts in her time. She knew mining deep underground for a simple green crystal would be nothing compared to the simplicity of taming a dragon. Many ponies looked to Twilight in need of an explanation for the parting crystal and the mantle, but Twilight reassured them it would all make sense once she'd returned.
Alright, if I'm going to the mantle, I'll need a shovel.
We're coming with you.
No, please. I'd rather much do this on my own than letting you come with me. It would just make it too overwhelming, and it might be dangerous for all of us to go.
Very well then. I have a diamond shovel that you can borrow.
Thank you. I might also need the map of the mantle and some coordinates.
Upon retrieving what would assist her, Twilight took flight, taking pride within every flutter. The coordinates estimating where the crystal was buried weren't far from the floating city. She now walked in an unfamiliar forest near the edge of the country, unsure whether it led her right or wrong. Upon her hoofsteps, she crossed paths with a desolate shed in the middle of the forest.
Weird. Surely no pony lives here, right?
There had been no houses down below for what seemed like miles. Suddenly, she slipped on something soft as it stuck to her hoof.
Whoa! Well, some pony dropped their cupcake. And their apple.
She said, levitating the cupcake and throwing it far away as an apple fell on her head. She continued walking and soon approached a torn, matted petticoat hanging from a tree. She opened it like a curtain to reveal the dark sky above the forest's canopy. The only thing separating it was a small rainbow between the cracks in the clouds. What more was to be seen? With a shovel touched by silk and a lifetime of studying magic, getting into the mantle was one easy task for Twilight Sparkle. Now if only another was just as simple. Inside the mantle was an apricot chasm, what would have been a dark cavern if not lit by the sea of bubbling magma that lay between the underground cliffs. Due to the intense underground pressure, it was difficult for an alicorn like her to fly. She looked around, wondering where to start in the search for the crystal, until suddenly her eyes were met with a green contrast in an orange atmosphere. There it sat, on an opposite cliff, its green light signalling her through the orange mist. She had found it, not expecting it to be so close to the surface, let alone so easy to find. She happily galloped toward it. The only thing separating them was the gap between the cliffs. Suddenly, before she realized she was falling, she was caught by a lasso which brought her back to the cliff she was previously on. She looked back.
Applejack?
Not just me.
Is every pony okay?
Any pony willing to hear a joke?
The rest of Twilight's friends had come to her aid, slowly coming out from behind one another.
But why? I told you not to come. Why did you follow me?
Based off past experience, it wouldn't be very smart to leave you down here on your own.
I don't think any pony even lives in this area.
I did see some sort of shed around the area.
Me too. Not to mention the food we found on the floor.
I'm sure I saw what looked to be a rainbow nearby. So there must be a Pegasi nearby, surely.
I also found a disgusting frog lying on the ground. Celestia knows what happened to it.
Well, I did, but I can't reach it as it's on the other cliff and, well, we can't fly because of the heat pressure and...
Nothing a simple lasso can't do. Yeet! Easy as pie.
With that, Applejack threw her golden lasso and brought the crystal over. Ignited by hope and determination, Twilight and her friends made haste out the mantle, making use of the lasso as they went. Upon returning to Cloudsdale in a swift spell of teleportation, they knew they were ready to lift Equestria of its sudden curse. Back at Cloudsdale, Starlight sat upon the library. She focused her mind on the oldest scrolls documented in hopes of finding something useful, until she noticed Twilight's return. She approached Twilight and the others and looked upon the crystal like she'd never seen one before.
How do we activate it?
I think we just use an enchantment spell.
All right, every pony who has a horn, put all of your force into it.
Upon Cadence's request, every unicorn and alicorn ignited their horn until the crystal glowed with every colour of the rainbow. Once all the colours had met, everything faded to white.
Did it work?
Doesn't look like it. I don't see anything down there.
Called Spike as he looked out a nearby window. Every pony looked at Twilight for a reason why the crystal had malfunctioned in such a way. Based on what she had read in Celestia and Luna's old castle, she had faith that the crystal could cure such a curse. She knew the crystal was tied to the plagues. Alas, they needed to know the cause of the plagues before they could find the cure. Suddenly, above all apprehension, Applejack rose.
Wait a sec. Does any of y'all recall the story of when the three pony tribes first met? There was a curse brought upon them bringing illness and uncanny weather because they wouldn't share the land. The curse was a punishment and was said to return every 1,000 years. Do y'all think this is what this could be?
Everyone thought for a moment upon Applejack's statement. Could this really be what they were facing? How could they seize it?
Granny Smith once told me the fire of friendship was what vanquished the plagues in the first place, but since the pony tribes are reunited and the fire of friendship still burns, shouldn't the plagues not have returned in the first place? How can you be sure the crystal is the right candidate to defeat them?
Twilight paused, pretending to think. No pony knew what was going on with Equestria or who to call for answers. Celestia paused. Based on her own knowledge and every source documented, she had to come forth. She knew it all along. She had sent Twilight to her old castle in preparation for this moment. She knew Twilight would be the one to retrieve the crystal. Celestia tried but couldn't bear to tell them. Luna had to come forth. Luna demonstrated the true tale with her magic. The three pony tribes had blamed each other for the occurrence of the plagues. Little did they know, their hatred to one another ignited the crystal, causing it to cast the plagues across Equestria and beyond. Although the fire of friendship was the cure, it was merely a catalyst that fueled the unicorn's magic, causing a reversion spell to be cast upon the crystal. Shunning the plagues away as long as the crystal was buried, someone would have had to unbury it. But who?
That must explain why I found it so high up.
So, do we just cast a reversion spell on it and bury it again?
No, it will only bring the plagues back in the next millennium.
After some intense thought, Shining Armor rose.
There is only one thing we can do, and that is to destroy the crystal.
Thus, a teleportation spell was cast and Twilight was on the verge of destroying the crystal. The mantle bubbled warmer than ever and something needed to be done.
What are you waiting for? Destroy the crystal! Throw it in the fire!
No. The crystal is mine!
No, silly. It's ours. Huh?
Who are you? Darlings, we have visitors. My evil twin.
The main six turned to see themselves face to face with none other than themselves. It looked like themselves, but it wasn't themselves. Their faces were cast in shadow and their milky white eyes and teeth were the only thing visible under their mangled manes.
Pinky? When you gave us that water, was that miracle water by any chance?
Because you know what happens when you drink Mirapool water.
It creates your evil clone. So where's mine? Those strange sheds and artifacts we found must have belonged to our evil twins.
The 11 ponies stared into each other's eyes, not knowing who would attack first.
Run.
With that, the main six ran, their darker clones following them every step.
Why are we running? They'll just chase us back to Equestria. They want to kill us.
And what's at Equestria? Plagues! They'll kill him first.
Go, go!
Even with Twilight and Applejack's master plan, the 6 ponies would surely fall apart in the forest where they began. Despite their success, Fluttershy had tripped in the mantle. Only Pinky remained to stay with her as the rest continued. Applejack and Rarity were also nowhere to be seen once they had come out into the forest.
We lost them! Finally!
Our evil doppelgangers or our friends?
Come on, Rainbow. Pinky and Fluttershy will be fine.
And Applejack and Rarity?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
You need to be more observant, Twilight. It's a dangerous place around here, and ponies can get injured.
Well, sorry for not being observant, as I couldn't see where I was going because I was running light speed away from ponies who could potentially kill us.
Well, I'm sorry that I even tried to tell you. Do you even still have the crystal?
No, I left it at the mantle.
Oh, that's just great. Now we have no way of getting rid of the plagues. We're doomed. Because of you. We've lost over half of our friends.
Rainbow, I'm...
Just leave me alone. I don't want to partake in saving the world with someone who doesn't care about her own allies. Now, if you need me, I'll be sitting on a cloud watching frog rain covered in lice and boils.
Then, the two parted. Twilight decided to return to Cloudsdale empty-hoofed. She had no idea what she had just done. Everything from this afternoon had been a blur. No answers, no cure, no friends. If the fire of friendship doesn't blaze, what fate is there for the plagues? Regarding such a tumble, Pinky and Fluttershy decided to rest in the heat of the underground. If only they weren't woken up so soon by a distant vocalization.
Fluttershy, wake up! Do you hear that?
You're not supposed to be here. Pinky and Fluttershy were now face to face with an ethereal being similar to the scheme of the mantle. She was almost a unicorn, but something rejoiced she wasn't a pony. Her tangerine mane was long and hung down toward the ground, tipped with ruby and glazed in Tuscany, hiding eyes of garnet. Her amber hooves and horn were decked in obsidian and underground rock all around. This citrine unicorn's divine appearance brought a reassuring aura.
I know, but we had to get the crystal, and my friend hurt her hoop, so now we're stuck here.
The crystal? Of course. My name is Manetale. I'm the guardian of this place. I come from extremophile origins, evolution of the crystal and mantle itself, but I assure you I'm just as much of a pony as you. You must be confused as to why our land was infected with plague in the first place.
Manetale explained, the confused Pinky and Fluttershy growing ever more perplexed. Manetale began to draw into the ground with her horn as she continued.
Long ago, the Parthenon crystal, a powerful relic crafted by the highest of mages, was infected by hatred, causing it to cast the plagues up above. The unicorns came together, ignited by the power of friendship, and cast a reversion spell on the crystal and burying it so no more harm could be done. As guardian of the mantle, I sealed the crystal in a chamber of magma to keep it concealed in hopes that the plagues wouldn't return. In 1,000 years, as some unicorns had prophesied. It worked for a while, but when I sensed that some pony had drank the miracle water, I knew something wasn't right here. One of their darker clones must have broken in here, stealing the crystal and causing havoc on the land.
That some pony was me. I'm sorry, I didn't know what the water would do.
That some pony who drank the miracle water, I assume? Then who took the crystal?
Now that some pony was me.
Run.
Despite Manetale's request, Pinky and Fluttershy did not run, but remained. Manetale ignited her horn and transported them to another cliff, away from who they had just seen. They recognized that new purple alicorn as no other than Twilight's darker clone. Rarity, are you okay?
Applejack asked as she and Rarity both lay in a ditch in the middle of the forest.
I don't know, Applejack. I slipped on some wet grass and ended up here.
Well, come on. We need to get back to Cloudsdale to catch up with Twilight.
And how will we do that? We don't exactly have a balloon.
They may not have a balloon or any knowledge of teleportation, but a lasso is all they need. Rainbow Dash had returned to Ponyville, sitting upon a cloud watching the discordance of the town, unsure of whether to return to Cloudsdale or the Mantle. Feeling as the one to blame, she looked up. No other than Twilight Sparkle stood above her.
Hello, Rainbow Dash.
Wait, what the? Twilight, is that you?
Not quite, dear.
Once her eyes were in focus, Rainbow immediately recognized that new purple alicorn as Twilight's evil clone. Her streaked navy blue mane hiding her white smile and milky eyes explained it all. This fabricated Twilight said goodbye to Rainbow Dash and teleported away, ready to cause havoc upon those invading the Mantle.
Don't you dare touch my friends!
Back in Cloudsdale, something was missing.
I don't understand, Twilight. What happened?
Fluttershy got injured in the mantle. Pinky stayed with her while the rest of us left. We lost Rarity and Applejack in the woods, and...
In a dash of unexpectancy, Rainbow Dash had returned.
Twilight, I'm sorry for everything I did. I know we're all hanging by a thread here, and you're trying your hardest, but this is all my fault. Now you're gonna die because of me.
What? Rainbow, I'm the one who should be sorry. I made the mistake of leaving my friends and the crystal, which made you feel the way you did.
So, I accept your apology. Do you accept mine?
Apology accepted.
To every pony's surprise, Rarity and Applejack entered the scene.
AJ! Rarity! You girls are okay.
Of course we are. We just slipped and got lost in the woods, but that's not a concern anymore.
But coming back up to Cloudsdale, we saw Ponyville getting more infected by the minute and the sky's turning to dust.
Let's hope Pinky and Fluttershy can sort this out fast.
Back in the Mantle, a choice must be made. The crystal must be given to Twilight's clone if they want to make it out alive. A small debate between pink and yellow perspectives heated the mantle, but in blue reassurance, Manetale had an easier way. Just follow my lead. In a slow haste, Twilight's doppelganger entered the scene.
It comes to this, alas, that I cannot find any of those pesky elements of harmony but you two. Now it's your choice, the crystal or your life.
The crystal! If you want it, you come get it!
Without hesitation, Pinky threw the crystal into the magma. Twilight's clone chased after it faster than Pinky could ever throw it. If Purple Wings could fly in orange fire, she may have survived, but she too fell into the magma and, like the crystal, was sure burned alive.
What in the world was that?
Rarity asked as a huge flash of brilliant light was seen from Cloudsdale. To the pony's surprise, the summer sun began to shine from above and a rainbow of colour was presented to them.
Girls, we've done it!
Pinkie Pie said as she and Fluttershy entered the clouds. It was time for all to be explained. The ponies gathered together in the town centre once again, as doors reopened and windows were crystal clear. A huge celebration was held in honour of Equestria's gentrification. As the bells sounded, many ponies were reunited with one another under the clear blue skies and a feeling of being weller than ever. An explanation was soon to be held for Equestria's sudden lockdown. Now, although every pony had been reunited, there were still some ponies absent from the event.
Where's Manetale?
Fluttershy asked as she looked around for her fiery friend. Let's just say, those who belong in the mantle belong in the mantle, and those who belong in the overworld belong in the overworld. But, all in all, it was great that the mysteries of the mantle had finally come to a close and that Equestria was safe once again. Many can learn from this experience, such as not to drink mirror pool water and to be more cautious of those around you. All in all, the mystery of the 10 plagues of Equestria had finally come to a close, and Equestria was safe another term. Until the next threat came along, of course. Although, the hardest threat is always the one which you don't know the root of. After all, it's harder to find the cure without the cause.